shared recently that I had an experience in Colombia. First of all, I've been going back home lately. So it's been amazing to go, as you all know, I rerouted, I was taken out of Colombia very early in my life. And lately I've been going back and just doing this really deep, beautiful work of rerouting and feeling safe at home. And I've just been spending a lot of time with my family. I even started liking the food again because I think I was taken so out of my culture that I didn't even really understand why Colombians liked Colombian food. Now I understand it's been a journey to love it back and be, I think I was angry at a part of my story. And as I go back, I've been really kind of doing this deep work of rerouting myself in my culture, in my home, in my country. And I've been doing this work with my therapists, and I was in the mountains of Colombia, and I had this journey. I mean, I had this experience, and I think I shared it with you in a previous episode if you haven't watched it, but I want to say it again, the importance of, I had this kind of near-death experience in the mountains. And as I was nearing my death, I realized, I had this whole belief system of somebody I needed to be. I needed to go to the UN, which is still there. I love it. I mean, it's my dad. Like, he was a politician in some form. Like, he wanted me to be like him. And I had this strong belief system of who I wanted to be or who I needed to be. And then in this experience, as I was nearing my death, like as death was approaching, I realized, my goodness, like, none of that actually comes with me. The work I do at the UN doesn't come with me. The work that I do, what I do doesn't come with me. And then I started crying unstoppably, and I started looking at my relationships, like where I've been not showing up in my relationships because of fear of losing them. And I realized, actually, what you take with you on your deathbed is not what you do, what you have, who you are, actually who you are in relation to another person. But it is the love of the relationships that you've had in your life. And I'll say that again. It's not who you are, what you do, who you've been, what role you are. If you're the CEO, if you're not the CEO, none of that comes with you. What comes with you is the role of the relationships that you have in your life, the love, the connection, the essence of the love of those around you. And so as death was coming in this experience, I was really feeling like, wow, all of those, like, I had a life in review of the relationships and the friendships and those that have been around me. And I was able to like feel it all in my body, and the warmth in my body just that came through. And it was just beautiful to realize, oh, actually, it's not about working for or working to be somebody. It's working to be a better person in my relationships. And in that understanding, then I get to really show up in a different way to these relationships. So as I was going through that, the last month, I don't know if it's because of where we're at in the world with the level of loss that we're undertaking in the world, or that people are, opening their eyes to the corruption of this planet. But a lot of the focus in my experiences the last month have been around grief and really feeling the depth of grief that I carry in my body, probably because there's going to be some sort of stepping into supporting people through it. I'm not sure. But a lot of the focus the last month and a half, actually the last 3 months, have been around that. And so, I think this last weekend, I had an experience where I don't know what so I'm getting ready to sit tomorrow in silence. Let's put it here. I'm getting ready. This has been this has been something I've been wanting to do for 7 years. I think I got my brother to do it. I got a lot of people that I work with to do it. And every time I would sign up, there was something that came up, or it wasn't the right time, or there was something on the other end of it. And I wanted to have some space on the other end of it. So I'm getting ready to sit in my first Vipassana tomorrow. It's a 10-day silent meditation. It's free. They're all over the world. I wanted to do it in India, Nepal, but part of my escapism, right? In some form, it doesn't matter where you do it, you're still going to be with yourself. And so if you don't know about it, the Vipassana, I'll tell you more about it on the other side. What I know about it is you go into this place, you renounce your phone, your computer, any writing material. You're not supposed to write. You're not supposed to obviously be on the phone, computer, nothing. You are you with yourself. And I think you barely sleep and you barely eat. I mean, you have like, I don't know, I'll tell you, I think it's kind of like oatmeal, very, very small amounts of food. And you go sit with yourself in silence for 10 days in meditation. And so I think I'm finally ready to do this. And after a long, long time, I think this is an experience that I want to do because I want to attune to the world. I want to attune to what's needed in this moment. And I really want to attune to the still point that we get to in our mind. I can't tell you much about what to expect because I'm kind of trying to come in with no expectations. And I'll share with you my experience on the other side. But I think that this experience that I'm about to tell you happened this last weekend in order to prepare me for what was about to happen tomorrow. And in brief, I'll say, I accessed levels of grief that I hadn't accessed before. So I started crying. And often when I start crying, I don't really allow myself to cry. I have to, it's just so much emotion that comes through that I'm just, I'm like, whoa, okay, too much. And it's part of what keeps me moving. And I sat with myself and I started crying. And then I started crying more and more. And I was just like feeling this overwhelming level of grief. And then I started getting images of home, of Colombia, of my sister, of my brother, of like how early those roots were taken out, and I think, the world right now, most of the world has that. If it's not you, it's a generation ago. So I started kind of getting all these images of, oh, wow, okay, I was rerouted from home. Mom and dad died. And then I realized I hadn't given the space to grieve my father's death. And so all these tears started coming. And then I had a friend of mine put his hand close to me and I couldn't see anything other than the hand because I was crying so much. But in that hand, I saw my father's hand. And that's where what really broke me. And I started really releasing the fact that my dad wasn't here anymore, which is something that I had never done. And I just started processing and grieving and really allowing myself to feel nobody around me was stopping me. They weren't giving me a tissue. They weren't stopping my process. They were really allowing me to really touch the level of grief that was in my body. And I couldn't stop. I actually got a little bit feverish. It was like body temperature was changing. It felt to me that I was, for the first time, really allowing my body to grieve at a level that I had never grieved before. And going back into that inner child, that young girl that lost her home, that lost her parents, and giving permission to just feel the sadness that I had always been afraid to feel, probably why I keep moving, why I keep going. And I think this was all happening in preparation for what's about to happen tomorrow. Just release, emptying the vessel, clearing and cleaning my home of the sadness and of the grief. But then I realized grief is not something that is ever over. And I think that's so much of what society tells us is that grief is done. You just grieve and it's done. And what I started realizing, you just go through levels of grief over and over. And I think what I've been having a relationship to grief is okay, I'll get over this layer and then it's done, right? I felt so empty and so free and so light to just have felt that. But I know now that the next layer is going to come. And so it's welcoming it just, even from that experience, I've had a few sessions after that, and I have shared with people that I work with, like, and I share with you, like, pause, take a moment, and just ask yourself with a deep breath, an inhale and an exhale, what am I feeling right now? And where am I feeling it in my body? Right? So I can share with you, like, I'm feeling a little bit of nervousness of being here in this microphone. I feel a little nervous in sharing a little bit of an intimate experience I had this week. And I can feel it in my jaw, right? And so it's this deep attunement to our bodies of just pausing, taking a deep breath, and then just asking your body, what am I feeling? And where am I feeling it right now? And allowing your body to release, whether it's through tears, whether it's through screaming, whether it's whatever it is whatever it is that you're needing to do, just to really attune to your body and to what you're feeling. And so just with that, I will share another piece that came to me this weekend, and it's how you're adding or subtracting to people's stories. Um, I had an experience with a friend of mine recently where I realized that I was talking about them to somebody else. And, I realized, like, how I added to that story and where that was coming from, right? Like, we're so unconsciously always adding to people's stories or creating a triangulation between friendships. And so I don't know why this is coming up in this moment because I was talking about grief, but I think part of it is, like, also realizing how we can create experiences or stories for other people. And I think it's really important to create consciousness around, perhaps where our wounding is driving that, or where my desire for something to happen is creating that. And that gave me an experience of realizing how many times I add to stories or to things I say to other people. And then I'm creating a triangulation between different people, right? So I think it's really important to create consciousness and to really kind of understand how often our wounds are talking and they want something to come of it. And I think it's really important to bring awareness. Like, I often catch so many of my friends sometimes talking a lot about other people. And I would like to just also share how important it is for me for them to not do that, because although, we're social people and we like to just share about other people, I catch myself doing that a lot. And I think it's because also the friends around me are doing it. It's so important to really create sacredness around our friendships and the people we love, and perhaps not really share much about them, but really create a sacredness of our friendships and sacredness of our circles, where we're not triangulating the energy, but where we can actually create pathways of communication where we don't have to triangulate the energy. And another thing I'll share around this weekend that I had come up, it's so often we can really complain about what our surroundings are, or what's happening in our experience. Like, we're often so quick to go to the negative of this, the negative of that. And it's really important actually to come up with gratitude. I mean, it's so wild how we can just fixate on what's not working. And it is so important to remember the beautiful things that are also happening around us. And so I was afraid to all this time, like, with, as if you've watched the first episode, my life has been filled with a lot of grief, and I was making grief wrong. I was making it bad. I had a story about it that it wasn't welcomed here because it's too much. It's too much to be sad. There's no space to be sad. There's many people that need to be sad other than me. I don't get to be sad. I help people release the sadness in my work. Sad is not welcomed. And so what I learned from this weekend was how important it's to give space to that grief and to the anger and to the emotions. I think so often in society we're pushed away from feeling these emotions because it's wrong, because it's too much, because you don't have space for it, because, the kid throws the ice cream on the floor and we're like, don't cry, don't cry, let me get you another one, right? So it's wrong to feel. And so, what I got from this weekend is how important it is to make space for all of these feelings and to release them and to give space and to let them move, to not stop them, to not block them, but to really allow the body to let them move. And I think by doing that, we create more space, more opening, more magnetism for who we really are, for our spirit, for our freedom, for our life. Um, and it's something that you could actually easily do. I think a lot of us live very, very busy lives and stop ourselves from experiencing this grief and this sadness. And I think it's really actually important to just curl up in your bed if you can. Give yourself 5 minutes and just release, cry. Like if you can, let go of those tears and really let go of the fear of feeling because it's the biggest, biggest gift that you can give yourself is to just let go and feel. And if and when you can do that, what's on the other side of that is absolutely beautiful. So I hope you can give yourself that gift of feeling and to release the fear of feeling the grief. I just did that and I think that it's an important work and there will always be more. It's never over. Healing is not linear. There will be layers and layers of grief and sadness and more sadness. And the more you can let go, the more you can open to more. I I heard, the feeling your what was it? To feel the depth of your grief is to allow to feel the depth of your joy and your bliss. So, as above, so below, feel your feelings and let go and create space for more love, more compassion, more beauty, more self love, more, more you.